podcast. Today we're going to be starting out the first episode. This month we're going to be starting out with the worship team. My name is Elizabeth and I'm one of the singers on our worship team. And this is Will. He's our bass player on our worship team. He sucks. I'm kidding. I'm just kidding. He's the best. So our, yeah, you're the bass. So our topic for today is going to be what does it truly mean to seek God, which is a really good topic.
Yeah, it's something that, we racked our brains over trying to figure out how to properly determine what to talk about and
Mhm.
maybe also talk about from a place of experience, a little bit of our testimony with that, what it looked like, and see how how it goes, right?
Yeah. So we started out. I started doing worship in church since the church opened, and we went together through worship for a few years, and then we left for 7 years
Seven.
and came back. So I feel like that experience has really taught us a lot about what it means to truly seek God. So one thing I even put it in all caps, like when I was thinking about this and talking about it, I thought of the word vulnerability,
Yeah.
like being vulnerable in your walk with God. When it comes to when you don't understand something, when you don't believe in something, when you have questions about things, how you feel about things, um, and being vulnerable with yourself, and most importantly, being vulnerable with God, like coming to God, not being afraid of. I mean, I don't know. I feel like I've had this conversation with you before. Like growing up in church, I don't know if anybody else who's grown up in church kind of feels like from like birth you're just in the church and you are taught, like we love God, we believe in God, he is mighty, he is amazing, we worship him, but there was really no room for you to question or to truly have like a debate like openly about something, because it's like what's wrong with you? Like God is real, girl. So it's like you never really had. So then sometimes we grow up and we never are vulnerable and truly saying like, like what does that mean? Like what is, who is God? Like what is his desire for us, or what is, and kind of questioning those things. So I feel like vulnerability is a big one. What do you?
Kind of mentions like the posture of your heart.
Hmm.
I think comes being able or being prepared to accept the truth. So a lot of the time we deny ourselves that truth because it's too painful. So we'll lie to ourselves or believe a lie. That lie kind of blends in and feels like it's truthful. Um, Sometimes I've even noticed that, you know, you'll have some truth mixed with the lie, and that's even more, dangerous because you have to sort that out. What is true and what isn't.
Yeah, and then
Um,
it becomes like mumbo jumbo in your brain.
but I noticed like how for you it's vulnerability because that's what is your comfort, and
Yeah.
for me it's more like what is the truth, my comfort, right?
Hmm.
But all right, a little bit of background for me, right?
Go
So,
ahead, go ahead.
I'm Will. I grew up in a weird way with religion. We were in and out of things. We were just seeking what it was to serve anything, really. We didn't really have um, much of a guide. My sister one day married this guy. He was Jewish, and he spoke the name of God to us, and we were like, "What is that?" Um, we dabbled with it a little bit. We came to Florida, and we really dove into it more. But it was just living through the lens of my parents, really,
Hmm.
and understanding their relationship with God because as a kid,
Hmm.
you're learning,
Yeah.
you're really modeling after them. But as time went on, we grew up, we met each other, and one of the areas that we connected with was in church.
Hmm.
So the service of God was a big deal for you and I,
Yeah.
especially when we first got married and everything.
Hmm.
Um, but I feel like for the most part, I lived most of my life up to that point understanding or trying to seek what truth was.
Hmm.
And uh, trying to find an answer for a
Hmm.
lot of the things that I was questioning, a lot of the things I was experiencing at the time. Um, but like I find it interesting you said vulnerability because that was the thing I was lacking in,
Big time.
and the thing you needed more than anything was truth, kind of like how you explained just now.
Mm,
So for me,
that's so true. I didn't even think about
yeah,
that.
yeah. So
It's
for me,
wild.
we needed to learn from each other as a couple, like how to be vulnerable and
Wow, your
to
design is good, God. Like,
experience that truth,
that's
right?
wild.
Yeah, it's kind of. But I think that was the first test
Mhm.
that we had to accomplish,
Mhm.
and we struggled with it for many years.
Mhm.
But eventually, we kind of came to that conclusion together,
Yeah.
regardless of what our strong point or weak point was,
Mhm.
vulnerability or truth.
Yeah.
We,
It's crazy because I grew up around so many sources, like so many resources.
mhm,
Like I had my sister, my brother, pastors in the family. Like, with them, I had my whole family has been in church. Like by the time I was born, my whole family was in church. So you'd think I'd have all these sources of people to go and ask questions to that are well versed in the Bible and do know a lot of things. But that's the whole issue with vulnerability. You can't even admit to yourself that you are struggling, that you are having a hard time understanding who God is or, the things of Him. So that's why that was a big one on my list is vulnerability. Like just be straight up with God. There are moments that God has blessed me to speak to like other couples, other wives and stuff. And one thing I always say to them is like, girl, go into a room, close that door if you can, cry it out to God and tell Him, I don't understand what you're doing, but I want to. I want to know. I want to get to know you. I'm having a hard time trusting you. Like, that's real to say to God, I'm having a hard time trusting you because all God wants us to do is to trust Him.
mhm,
And we can profess it all day long, like, I trust in God, yes, I believe, but do you really though?
mhm.
Like inside, do you really? And that's a big one. That's a big thing. With vulnerability comes trust. So be open with God and tell God, you know what, God, I want to start all over with you. Like if you've been in God for many, many years and you feel like you're getting to a place like where you're stuck and you start over. Start over as if you knew nothing and get into the word, which I think that's the next point.
Wait, wait, before you go, right?
All right, I'll pump the brakes.
But like how you just said trust, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was just having this thought in my head, and you're like speaking my thought.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting because for you, you require trust to be vulnerable. And for me, I require trust to be able to accept the truth. So it's like that's a common
Mm-hmm.
thing. I think that was an issue for us. We had a hard time trusting. So
Yeah.
regardless if you have resources or not,
Mm-hmm.
if you don't trust the source or you don't trust where it's coming from, you're almost like turning a blind eye toward it.
So true.
And it came out for me through like blind truths, and then
Mm-hmm.
for you, not really knowing, the things you needed to, or
Mm-hmm.
you were probably all around, but just not able to capture.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you have to learn on your own,
Yeah,
essentially.
100%, 100%. And so after being in church for so long, I truly came to know who God is.
Mhm.
I would say in 2023, I was alive at that point for, I can't even, 30, 33, 32, I'm 34 right now.
Just
30 some years it took me growing up in church to truly get to know who God is. And I'm not ashamed of it that it
yeah,
took me that long because now when I walk with God, it's a real walk.
yeah,
Um, and so then that kind of leads to a conversation we've had before about devotion versus dependency.
yeah. I heard that from a wonderful person, but like it's really the truth. If you don't have that balance, what are
Hmm.
you doing
Hmm.
when you and explain it? I know you're better at explaining it, but
So devotion versus dependency, there is that part of us, and it's like if I understood this so long ago, it would have made more sense. But devotion is the time that you devote yourself to the things of God, whether that's